And coming up in this episode,
it wasn't like you have to choose who you want to become. Your parent chooses for you.
Yeah.
So they were like, no, I want you to be a lawyer. No, I want you to be a doctor. No, I want you to be a civil engineer. I want you to be this. I want you to be that.
Oh, so you got an admission and actually paid the school fee?
Oh, yes.
And then what happened?
I was denied visa.
No. Why? On what grounds?
Once you don't talk about it, you think about it, and it affects your BP and like what's going on and stuff like that. So these are due to the mental health issues that most of them ignored and neglect.
Yeah.
So if you decide that you want to come and move from point A to point B, you must learn.
Yeah.
If you feel that you have somebody there doing it for you, no. You must learn.
You have to do it
if you are not ready to learn,
Yeah.
then just forget
Don't
about
try
it.
it,
Yeah, that's one thing I just want to put out there.
this is the real life experiences of immigrants in the diaspora. Welcome to the BO podcast. And I am your host, Becky Onyango. And today we have a very special guest who is going to share the experience living abroad. Stay tuned.
Hi everyone and welcome back to another episode of the BO podcast. I'm your host Becky Onyango and thank you so much for tuning in. And also remember to like, share and subscribe to the channel. And today we have a very special guest with us and this is John. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
So he's just going to take us through his journey of moving all the way from Nigeria to Germany and what the experience has been, and hopefully we can learn one or two things.
Yeah.
So let's just start off from your formative years back then when you were still young, a small child in Nigeria. How was your background like?
Okay, I'm going to start with, my name is John Okoli. I'm from Anambra State in Nigeria, but I was born and brought up in Lagos. My journey as a background, it's kind of complicated in a way, because I'm from the southeast region of the country, and I grew up in the southwest.
Okay.
So first of all, I have to come into a, let me give you a little bit of background of Nigeria. Nigeria is a multicultural diversities mixed with religion, ethnicity, and everything. So everybody belongs to one.
Yeah.
Everybody belongs to one. I don't think you can see one person who is a Nigerian that is not a, how do you say, those that don't believe in religion or gods, a pagan or something like that.
And which is the predominant religion in Nigeria? Is it Muslim or Christian?
I really can't say, but I really can't say because I can't take what Google is saying. But we have a population of over 200 million.
Yeah.
And
the largest in Africa, right?
Oh yes, the black African is it's the Nigerian, and one of the best multicultural economic also in Africa.
Yeah, because of the strongest.
So yeah, and the thing is, I can't say yes and I can't say no because I would say it's 50-50. Okay. Yeah, I would say 50-50.
So it's kind of balanced there.
Yeah, it is balanced. I feel more that there's more of Christians, but due to the violence, of people beliefs and stuff like that, a lot of people predominantly thinks we have more of the Muslim culture, it's because which takes me front to of my background and my growing up and my starting, because I grew up with Muslims.
Okay.
I'm from a Christian background. I grew up with Muslims right from the tender age, because I speak their language.
Okay.
Because we have 3 known language in Nigeria, but we have more than 3 in Nigeria. But the 3 major is Yoruba, Igbo, and Hausa.
Okay, so those are the 3 major. Then there are all
so many
tribes. Yeah.
So many.
Yeah, I think it's also the same case also in Kenya. We have like around 46 or 44 tribes.
Yeah.
And we have like 3 major tribes.
Yeah, so I could speak 2 of the 3. So I could speak Yoruba. I'm Igbo, but due to the fact that I grew up in the southwest, being an Igbo makes it I'm from the southeast.
Okay.
So I grew up in the southwest, I was able to pick up the language, the Yoruba language and stuff like that. So I did attend schools of the Yorubas.
Okay.
So
So you can
I was
relate.
mixed. Yeah. So I connect with them both in culture, diversities, and language.
And the language as well.
Yeah.
Okay.
Growing up wasn't easy with them. We found out that they pick on you.
If they know you come from a different tribe.
Oh, it hasn't gotten to that stage yet. No. It's just growing up, this will I use the word bully, in a way, like, oh, you can't hear what you're saying, although I do, but
because of your accent or so.
Yeah, not because of the accent.
Was there a particular reason why there was that bullying at that time? If you just in retrospect, think about it.
Bully has to do with the psychological review of that particular person. Someone bullies somebody in school is due to what he or she faces back at home.
We
have to trace it back at home, and she wants to feel dominant in another person's world. Making her, giving her or he the perception of, okay, I can do this.
And then
so something like that anyway, but not that violent anyway. It's just I'll take it as maybe mocking and stuff like that. So it wasn't easy though. It wasn't easy.
How was that instrumental in shaping your character growing up in this side?
Oh, at first, it made me to be aggressive because you had to fight back.
Oh yeah, of course.
Yeah, so you had to fight back, and literally, you come back with wounds.
Oh wow! So it was physical.
Yes, you come back with wounds and you hide it from your parents.
Yeah.
Because once, like, let me put it, for example, my parents, for instance, once they see a mark in your body, they will add another one. Because
they know you're the troublemaker.
No, not because you're a troublemaker. Because you could have gone for peace. But you went for violence. You understand? So in a way, they're kind of like shaping my mindset and like, there is a better way
of handling it.
Rather than going to violence, why not go for what? Resolution, for peaceful way in resolving the situation. And
makes sense.
Yeah, but then we didn't understand because we're kids. What do you expect? So they add their own pain so that next time, if you want to do something, you're like, the last time I did this, I received this.
So you're not going to do it.
Please, I don't want to, So I think it shaped my mindset. I go away from troubles. So in the primary and secondary school, which was dominantly Muslims, I tend to stay away from troubles. I had zero problems in the secondary
and
school.
this reflects also a lot, just, personally knowing you're someone who's always solution oriented, conflict management on point. So I think I see now where it comes from. Okay, that's nice.
Yeah. Well, it grew up with me because the perception is, why violence?
Yeah.
Why go to that part whereby we can look onto the other side?
Yeah.
There is a way. There is always a way. You just have to look at it from different angle. Now sometimes you take a deep breath.
Yeah, and just two sides.
Yeah, we know we can. Yeah.
I mean, by the time people also adopt that kind of mindset, I think it just needs also some level of exposure, because for some people, if violence is the only thing they know, it will take some time before they can.
Well, for me, kudos to my parents, because
they did a good job.
Yeah, my parents were, especially my father, and it tells me his experience while he was going, older and stuff like that, and it passes it down to us like, you have to do these. Things don't come easy. You have to prepare for the world.
Wow.
I wish, because he didn't go to school. He found it the hard way, and it made it. We had 7 in the family, and 7 of us went to school. He made sure 7 of us finished
all of you went
university.
To school. Yeah.
He made sure of that. So that is a game changer for us, and it brought us in a Christian way, because if I don't know my father, I would say my father is a pastor, like really, but he prays a lot. He teaches us how to pray. And in return, I teaches my dad how to read. So
he helps you be spiritually connected. And also in return, now you help him to be more literate.
Be reading, because he had to read in our language. erased everything in our language. He caused the Bible. Now he doesn't need the Bible anymore. He caused it offhand, and you know, it was like Psalm, because we read mostly Psalm 35, Psalm 98, Psalm this, Psalm 63, Psalm 23. You know, we pray and stuff like that. And yes, pretty much, you know, I was really brought up in a Christian faith family, and my father was, you know, if I call my father a pastor, I call my mom a prayer warrior.
Wow.
Yeah, yes.
So this has really also helped you to, also in your adult life, in trying to just being centrally aligned, always having that peace of mind, because you can always be spiritually connected with.
In as much as, you know, we can move and focus on the spiritual aspect of being calm and cool, but don't allow our calmness fool you. Because they said, pray, but don't close your eyes.
Yes.
Because you can be praying, someone will come and steal your phone. So how would you know?
Yeah.
So it allows us to be self-aware. It allows us to be more orientated in our environments. Like, yes, do this, but be cautioned. You know, don't allow yourself to get away because you're trying to be a Christian.
Yeah.
So being a Christian does not give you the right not to defend yourself.
It's true.
So I grew up in a very, very, very bad area. It was called Mushin, Lagos.
Mushin?
Yeah, Mushin, Lagos.
Okay.
It was of area boys, the thugs, the boys in the hood, you know, stuff like that. And to my surprise, when I tell people today, I grew up in this
that
area,
kind of area,
they don't believe.
Yeah, also I'm surprised to hear this from you.
They don't believe because they said, you should be rough.
Yeah.
And when they see my body and they said, no tattoo, no mark, no sign of cultism and stuff like that. I'm like, well.
So do you think the tight upbringing from your parents, like the way you guys are close-knit, very spiritual, really helped you in not engaging into this kind of, you know, gangs?
First of all, I was afraid of my parents.
And we all Africans, all African children are afraid of their African parents.
Have you received the beating of your life before?
Trust me, I know what you're saying. Let's not even go there. Yeah.
So I think the perception here is the fear of the beating is the beginning of wisdom. So once your mom says, don't go outside and play, just don't go. Yeah. Because if you do, she's not going to say anything at that moment. She's going to give you that time to go up and stuff like that.
For you.
And you yourself, you already knew or you know that you're waiting for the beating of your life. You know, and practically, we were raised up in the fact that the beating wasn't a punishment. The beating was, I want you to be a better person. I don't want you to end up being a tout. I don't want you to end up working for the political thugs. I don't want you to end up, you know, in a shady way. We work hard to send you to big schools. And, you know, so we expect more from you. But actually, we don't see it from that angle because we thought our parents is trying to punish us. You know, most of my friends, like my mom, she has the cat eye. So every of my friends are usually afraid of my mom because once she looks at you, you would think she wants to kill you. Yeah. You know, and you know, every mom has that look.
Yeah. Once they give you that look, you know what? Well, you know what time it is.
Exactly. So, you know, it gives us that sense of belonging at a young age. Like, don't mess up.
So you're always trying to do the right thing because of their upbringing.
Yeah. Sometimes when I was doing the right thing, think before you do.
Yeah.
It gives us that impression of, look, yes, we have everything, we are contented, but don't think manna comes from heaven. We work hard to get where we are. Yeah. But before you do or take any decision, think before you do any other thing. So
now just hold that thought because I want to connect and see how instrumental it was your child upbringing was in helping you navigate life abroad, because I think there's usually this ongoing debate about, you know, maybe African children born to African immigrants in the Western world who don't really have that experience of growing back at home compared to those who are born at home and the values that they've been able to be, you know, to have, and how that can help them in one way or the other navigate through.
On the other hand, you have a boy or a girl that grew up in a multicultural diversities in an environment which he grew up with. When we were small, we have our brain is called, like, according to John Luke, in the terms of conditioning psychology, it says we were being born blank at a tender age, and it's called tabula rasa. Tabula rasa means there is nothing here, but the society we grew up changes and educates our mind. If you grow up in a good environment, it shapes your mind and your environment. If you grow up in a bad environment, only your parents can help you, but your parents can't do everything. The society plays 90% of a major role in upbringing of a child. So that's why in those who are born in Africa, it's quite different when you compare to those who were born in the Western world. So you see that the mentality and the orientation is quite different because you cannot compare the culture, you cannot compare the environment, you cannot compare the settings, you cannot compare the language, and you cannot compare the food.
Yeah, it's true.
So it's quite different and complex.
Yeah, food is also a big factor. The taste buds are completely different.
Yes, of course.
Yeah. So now moving on to the education background back at home. So what did you decide to venture into up until the time before you came to Germany? So what's your education background like?
Due to my family upbringing and stuff like that, we were more business oriented.
Okay.
And my father was in our language, I don't know if you've heard this saying, import and export.
Okay.
So my father was an importer.
Okay.
So he goes to China, we buy, we resell to the masses. So it's more like a distributor. He goes to the China and stuff like that, which currently my elder brother took over the business and, grew the business over.
Nice.
But so we are more on business oriented, but we must be educated to bring the education back down to the business and expand it. So this was the vision of my father. But, growing up, I have to say this, in my era, it wasn't like you have to choose who you want to become. Your parent chooses for you.
Yeah.
So they were like, no, I want you to be a lawyer. No, I want you to be a doctor. No, I want you to be a civil engineer. I want you to be this. I want you to be that. So I went to, practically my dad wanted me to be a doctor. So we started our journey at Anambra State University, Uli, and due to cultism and violence, I told him I couldn't stay because they were trying to initiate me into cultism. Yeah, so
I heard there's this thing going on in some universities in Nigeria, like the cultism culture is actually really...
It's really troublesome.
Yeah.
And, I told my dad that, look, I don't think I have that strength. If I join, I don't think I'll last because I don't have that mindset to prove to somebody to take someone's life. So which is the only way you have to prove yourself, your loyalty to them.
Wow.
You have to you must mix your hand with blood.
I'm just wondering what the intention is really.
It's just, this feeling of I have a backup. I can do anything I want. Nobody's going to do shit to me and stuff like that. So I have the backup of maybe of the local government, because they have top men, guiding them, not just young teenagers and young boys. No.
So it's actually like a secret society backed up by powerful people.
From the big to the middle to the grassroots.
Oh, okay. And then now they're trying to bring in the younger...
Because the old ones will aspire.
Yeah.
You understand? So it's just like when you work in a company, the old ones in the company gets retired while the new upcoming still coming up and stuff like that. So that's how it works and stuff like that. So I had to I had to leave the scene and I had to go to UNN, University of Nsukka, at UNN. So I had to do a pre-degree of there, and which for 1 year course of pre-degree, then I got an admission into ESUT, that's Enugu State University of Science and Technology, and I venture into, since I want to study medicine, then I venture into psychology at ESUT.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so that's why that's how I venture into that.
So the psychology degree took you around 4 years?
Yes, of course.
And then upon graduation, you got directly into the job market, or how was
Oh, no. Upon, after graduation, have it in mind, psychology wasn't a course people knew of back then. Because people don't believe that there's something called depression, trauma, emotions. They don't believe. Because we Africans don't believe in suicide. Because once we watch some movies and stuff like that, they're like, why is he committing suicide?
Yeah.
We are here dying and this person
Yeah, unfortunately, there are still people who are trying to catch up. But at least right now, mental health topics is now picking up.
Yes.
People
now
are being more aware.
It's more spoken. And also then, there was no discussion of sex education.
Yeah.
We didn't have any, I had to learn it personally. What is sex education? What is trauma? What is loneliness? And stuff like that. So these are things I learned because I studied psychology. So it opened my horizon of the fact that, wow, a lot of people go through a lot of things in this world.
Yeah.
And, if you don't talk to somebody, you get depressed.
Yes.
And once you get depressed, you get lonely, and you can think of anything that comes to your mind at that particular moment in time.
And I think also in the African setting, it's like you don't have time to be depressed. Like, what are you talking about? You're depressed for what?
Oh yes, you don't have that time. But that's why we have high rate of high blood pressure.
Yes.
Because once you don't talk about it, you think about it, and it affects your BP, and it's rise. And the next thing you see a man walking, he just fell down and he died.
Yeah.
Sometimes they get cardiac arrest. Sometimes they get heart failure, or sometimes you see them, slumping for no reason. And it's like, what's going on and stuff like that. So these are due to the mental health issues that most of them ignored and neglect.
Yeah.
So
I think it affects now the physical health in the long run.
Oh yes, of course, because the body is like it's like a car.
Yeah.
Once you put the fuel in the car, it works. If you don't put the fuel, it doesn't go anywhere. So that's just it. You need to take care of the body. You need to take care of especially the mind. The mind is the most powerful weapon in the body.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
So you need to take off, because in the brain we have three set of lobes under the brain, in the hindbrain, that affect us. We have the frontal lobe, we have the occipital lobe, and we have the, I can't remember the third one, which the frontal lobe absorbs is here. This is where our frontal lobe is. It enables us with the vision. This is the brain here, allows us, what we see gives us the interpretation here. So the occipital lobe helps us with the cognitive. Once you hear, and it gives you meaning to your brain. Like when someone like maybe insults you and said, "Are you mad?" It gives you that meaning. That,
then you get to interpret it.
Yeah, that's the work of the brain. And the other one, I forgot the name, but it has to do with the skin. Once you pinched someone, it sends that signal to, oh, I feel hot. So these are, the kind of works it does for us to, be self-aware of our body, our health, our skin, whatsoever you call it. And so
interesting.
Yeah.
I feel like I was just like in a biology class right now. That's interesting. Okay, so now, in regards to, upon
Yeah.
graduation, how did you get to practice all this knowledge? I mean, how was the psychology job market in Nigeria at that time?
Poor.
Okay.
I would say poor, in my time, poor, because I graduated far back as 2013, and it was very poor. But we were trying to make that self-awareness of being in psychology. It wasn't a trend. It wasn't a someone cannot be proud of, I'm a psychology by profession.
Oh.
No, you cannot be. It's either you're a doctor or you're not a doctor.
Yeah.
So there's no, a doctor can also be a psychologist.
Yeah.
But, they don't see it that way. Because we also have physiotherapists and, all those things in our system then. It doesn't take effect. And it was quite difficult, I have to be honest with you. And, I tried after graduation, moving to the job market. It was crazy because the system does not support it. So it makes it quite difficult if you're not a lawyer, if you're not a doctor, if you're not an accountant.
Yeah, so this is also the same problem that I also encountered. Personally, this is why we are working on self-taught platform.
Yeah.
Because the thing is, I remember after graduating from high school,
Yeah.
so I was trying to get information on what kind of courses can I do, because I was not really bent on one particular path, like I have to do this or that. For me, I was considering medicine at some point, but I was like, okay, no, I'm afraid of, blood and all that. So that was not definitely, but I was good in numbers. So at that time, actuarial science was like the in thing, right? Which still is. But so I went ahead and pursued actuarial science, or because everyone was advising me, oh, you got an A, or this will be a really good course for you. You'd earn a lot of money. So, based on people's recommendation on what the little knowledge that they know. But right now, when I look back, personally, if I would have done it again, I would not have done actuarial, despite the fact that I was good in numbers. I would have taken a course like psychology or social work, anything human related, in terms of also any mental health related course, because I feel like that's my area really, generally. But I was afraid of going that route because I was like, I think if I take a course like psychology or social work, I will not get a job at that time.
Because you need to look at the job market.
Because I have to look at the job. So that is the thing. So everyone is telling me actuarial is very well paying. You'll be a millionaire. I was like, okay, that's the course for me. So now, when you tell me about the fact that, back then after graduation, the job market was not really promising.
Oh, yes. It was quite difficult, I couldn't stamp my foot on the market.
Yeah.
And, together with the corruption, I'm not going to take that out.
Yeah.
Together with whom to support you, to help you, and irrespective of if you had a first-class degree. It's quite difficult, when you see people, or when you see someone you're better than is getting a position which you could actually do more better than. So I don't know for any other people, but it's really crippled the system.
Yeah.
The corruption, when we put in incompetent people in some certain and key areas, positions, it affects the masses. And you cannot say that me being a psychologist and working in a firm or in an insurance firm, maybe NFF, UNICEF and stuff like that, I could be able to put one or two inputs in the world for myself, in helping, educating, and enhancing people's mental health being. It's not all about, the emotions that it comes with. It's about family.
Yeah.
It's about love, compassion, and these are everyday, basically psychology is every day of our life.
Yeah.
What we do, what we eat, how we feel, motives, interests, happiness, joy, sadness. These are all things we experience in our lives. And this is the definition of psychology, and which everybody needs it in one way or the other. But in my country, it's an honor area. And that's the position we found ourselves. But I'm thankful today, things are changing.
Yeah.
We're evolving in some certain areas, and people have been learning, people have been aware of their surrounding, people are checking their mental health well-being, but I don't know about the job market yet. That's the point. So
if it has improved or not,
the course itself has improved, but the job market itself
is still,
I'm not aware, because I don't see someone studying psychology and still struggling looking for a job, because it's a very sensitive course, very, very sensitive, because it's not an easy course to pass. It is not. So I kind of think it's equivalent to doctors. I kind of think it's equivalent to doctors if you really practice it in the practical way. Because I get this feeling, a lot of people meet me, oh, you study psychology. I was like, yeah, can you read my mind? They come to me like, so you know what I'm thinking? I said, no, it doesn't come that way. Learning process, it's ability to learn, it's ability to know, it's ability wanting to know. Let me put it that way, wanting to know. Not that I want to know what is because I have to modify and articulate, or I need to give you an hypothesis of what an uneducated guesswork like. Are you thinking of eating right now? I said, how do you know? Because I think, and you concord to the fact that I read psychology, and you think maybe I'm reading in my mind, stuff like that. So, but that's reverse psychology on it anyway. So that's it.
But the good thing, at least in the Western world, at least what I've seen is psychology is basically applicable in, as you mentioned, in our everyday life.
Yeah.
So no matter what company you're in, no matter what kind of production or service production you're in one way or the other, you do need psychologists in like every single department.
Of course.
You need like a psychologist who can be able to help assess the health of your employees. So yeah, I mean, yeah, it's about time we just pull up our socks in terms of disregarding other professions, because it's necessary in one
Oh,
or
it
the
is.
other.
It is very important, but I don't know how many people out there knows about this. That's the point. So I feel.
But hopefully it picks up over time.
I feel I have the chance to educate. If I have the chance, I like educating. And some people tell me, why am I not going to being a teacher?
Yeah.
So they said I know
I
how
feel the
to.
same way too.
Yeah, sorry.
I feel the same way too.
Yes,
like
they
I'm a
said I
teacher.
know how to give that level of meaning so that they can understand what I'm trying to say, because I explain with passion.
Yes.
So I was like, well, I don't know, but I just try to make life easy for everybody, because once you make life easy for yourself, you make life easy for everybody.
everyone else, yeah.
So that's it.
So now, in terms of now transitioning to Germany,
Yeah.
how did you get the piece of information? Now you've already tested the job market in psychology in Nigeria.
Yeah.
You're seeing it's not working out. So how did you make the decision to give it a try?
Actually, in my own situation, everybody has its own agenda while growing up, and right from when I was in my third year of my university, I went to my dad and I told my dad that I would like to further my education abroad. And he said, why? I said, I want to improve my standard of living. I want to improve my knowledge skills. I want to improve the way I think and the way I express myself. I was in my third year in the university, and I told him I want to get a better education to add with the one I already have. And he said, well, he's going to look into it. That is, I'm on the positive side, because all this is money. So he said he's going to look into it. That's my vision then. So, time passes, and, I'm not the only one that wants to go to abroad. I have brothers, 5 boys, 2 girls. So,
Wow.
and they have to, in our culture, they start with the
The first
elders.
ones, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So I had to wait for my turn. After finishing university, I went to NYSC. That's Nigerian Youth Service. It's a mandatory 1-year course for every graduate in Nigeria, particularly in Nigeria. So it's a service you give back to the community, to the people, irrespective of where you're being posted to. So I did that. I did my service at the Nigerian Custom. I worked at the Custom Service. I worked with Savicom. And yeah, which is in a way interrelated with my courses, but for the fear of my life, I had to leave, because it was not safe for me to live there. Yeah, it wasn't safe for me to live there. So speaking of that, I had to go back to. Remember, I told you in the beginning of our conversation, we are business oriented. So I had to go back to the family business and help and learn the business more to support the family, so that whichever way one is coming my way to further my education, I will move from there and transit into the future. Now, moving fast forward to how the information of Germany and stuff like that. I went to Enugu, back to my state, where I did my university, not Anambra State. So I was listening to, some news and some certain things, and I felt that my pastor back then sent his son to Kenya to learn how to be a pilot. And I Googled it, and I found out that one of the best schools to learn how to be a pilot is in Kenya. I never knew about that. So I was like, wow, if he could do that, I need to put my interest back, because literally I forgot about it at first. So I need to put my input back. I need to focus more on my education and stuff like that. And I came back home after learning how to be an engineer. I was learning how to be an engineer. Yeah, I was learning.
Wow.
Yeah, I was learning how to be an engineer. So I had to put my first and no, let me go. So by then, my older brother has moved to Australia to study. So, we moved to Australia to study, and it took a lot from us as a family. Yeah,
I can imagine.
so much. So, and I still have to be patient again.
Yeah, because I was like, okay, so how long did you wait until everyone went? How many years?
That's one thing. I finished school very early. I was very brilliant in my university when I was in the university. So
Nice.
I think I finished my university at the age of 24.
Wow.
You understand? So I had to wait 25, 26, 27 so that I will use my youthful age and do something meaningful. So with that period of time, I decided to help the family business. This is my story. I decided to help my family business to support more money, because you cannot expect your family to support you while you're not putting in the effort.
Yeah.
So I think basically that was it, and I spoke to my elder sister about it, that we need to talk to my dad, start calling people, let's put in work and see how we can make this happen. Then I got luckily a friend of my sister at that point in time. No, before then, my brother in Australia called and said, why not you come and join me? I'm now okay. Come and join me. Let's see how it goes. And I tried Australia.
Also, you first started out with Australia.
Yes.
From your brother's
not Germany. Yeah, so I
recommendation.
just wanted to correct. Yeah, not Germany. So I started with Australia. I wrote PTE. I started evolving, started learning so many. So I now went back to learning. You understand? Because coming back to one thing I must make very, very clear is, if you decide that you want to come and move from point A to point B, you must learn.
Yeah.
If you feel that you have somebody there doing it for you, no, you must learn. Like, that's the bottom line. You must learn. That's what it teaches me.
Yeah.
You must learn. If
There's no shortcut. You have to do it yourself.
If you are not ready to learn,
Yeah.
then just forget
Don't
about
try
it.
it,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's one thing I just want to put out there. And he wrote I had to learn PTE. Yeah, it's an entrance exam on the proficiency in English. That's the one being accepted by the Australian government.
universities.
Yeah, so I got an admission, paid my school fees. At the end of the day...
Oh, so you got an admission and actually paid the school fee?
Oh, yes.
And
yes.
then what happened?
I was denied visa.
No. Why? On what grounds?
I don't know. They said they were not confident because of statements of reasons. Like, I need to write a memo about why I'm moving from point A to point B. So my statement for moving from point A to B was not convincing to them enough.
Which course were you applying for?
I was going for social work.
Yeah, because you did psychology, and if you're going for social work, it does relate.
Exactly. So I was going for social work in Australia, and I was really excited.
Yeah.
And I will put this again out there. For the first timers, applying for the universities and stuff like that, once you get an admission, it's not the first step. It's just the beginning.
It's just the beginning, yeah.
So,
you'll get several. Getting an admission is not even an issue. You can get several admissions.
Yeah. Because a lot of people feel once they get the admission, it is easy, it is over. The journey has just begun.
Yeah.
Taking it from one, because getting an admission is a different thing. Moving to the next stage, and moving to the next phase, is an additional stuff. So for me, I was so excited. I was so, I used the sugar in my body. Because I was so excited. But I found it the hard way when I got to, the news.
That it's been rejected.
I've not said this before. I think this is the first time I'm saying this. I told you about psychology. I've never received, in my life before, I've never received bad news before. That was my first time receiving bad news.
Oh. Especially when you're anticipating this good
exactly.
news.
You are, and that's
and
one thing about hope.
And you're 100% sure and confident you're getting
because
it.
I've paid my school fees, I've done everything, confirmation.
And the school fee is non-refundable.
No, it is refundable.
It's refundable,
yeah? It was refundable.
Thank God.
So,
because I know for some Canadian schools, normally they say it's non. It's the one. It's like a deposit to secure your seat in class.
Genau. I mean, yes.
Yes. German. He's so German.
Sorry about that.
Yeah, because I know some like Canadian universities, they would say it's non-refundable. So at least in this case, that was a good deal.
Yeah, it was. No, my brother was there, so it was more easy for me.
Okay.
Yeah, so he was able to explain to them to make the school to intervene with the issue, and the school said the immigration board has its own laws, the school authorities have its own laws. So if they interfere, the immigration will feel they have an interest in me in particularly, and I will be a kill of interest to them. So they don't want to bring a conflict of interest. So I had to leave it. I can apply in the next 6 months. So moving forward, that was it, and I couldn't eat for 7 days.
Yeah, it's not easy.
The psychology which I talked to you about, I was traumatized for the first time in my life. And I studied psychology, but
You could not use those skills and the tools on yourself, no?
I couldn't. I locked myself in a room for 7 good days.
Wow. Yeah, I know that feeling.
I felt everything that I've been hoping for has
All
collapsed.
crashed down.
Do you know why I'm saying this?
Yeah.
For those who are going to be preparing to do this or do that, don't expect 100% proof. There will be setbacks. But the thing is, did you pick yourself up back?
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's what I did in my own situation. Because if they say no to you, it doesn't give you the right not to try again.
Yeah. This just brings me back to just a short snippet of my story as well. I remember after high school when I was still trying to figure out what course to do, and I went for the actuarial. During that time, because I'd performed so well, I had the option of also to go abroad, but I was looking for a full scholarship. So I was trying out different schools, but I was only focused on the US. So I tried sending several applications to different US universities, but getting a scholarship in these US universities can be a little bit difficult. So the farthest I went was getting a partial scholarship from one university. I don't know if it was NYU or something, but it was a really nice Ivy League, but it was a partial, which means I had to cater for the rest, which was still like around 20,000 or so. And, I was not willing, personally, I was just not willing to
Spend.
to drain my family's finances just for...
It's a lot of money, 20,000.
Yeah, it is. So at that particular point, I was really crushed, I was so depressed. And I remember also I used to just lock myself in the room, and I used to be so angry also with my mother, unfortunately, at that time, because I used to feel like it's her fault. I don't know why.
This same situation happened to me. I was just so angry with everybody.
Everyone, yeah.
So that is the situation you get from neglect.
Yeah.
You get from like you say, because that's funny thing is, I'm grateful for my family today. They stood by me 101%.
They never give up on you. Yeah.
They stood by me. But at that moment in time, when I had this situation, nobody said anything to me. It's only my sister. My sister said something. She said, "John, it's not the end of the world. Nobody died. You can try again."
But at that time, you're not seeing that.
No. When she said that, that was after 7 days, because she has been calling, calling,
and you're not
calling. I wasn't picking. I wasn't ignoring the call, but I was not just picking.
Yeah.
I was not seeing my mom. I was not seeing my dad. I was just there thinking, why me? Why me? Because sometimes it comes to that. Why me? Is somebody looking, trying to do one or two things? So I started looking at the back of my shoulder, like, what's going on and stuff like that. So I got a word of encouragement from my elder sister, Angela. And I looked at it and I was like, the voice of reasoning came. I was like, pick up, start again. It's not over yet. And she now said, I have a friend in Germany. Why not you try Germany?
Oh, so she suggested Germany.
She suggested Germany.
Nice.
I was still bent on Australia, but she suggested Germany, saying, why not look Germany? I didn't say try. Look, I was like, okay, let's just see how it goes and stuff like that. So I discussed with Charles, which is a friend back in the in our secondary school back home, and he explained to me this, that he has a friend who's gonna connect me, who's gonna tell me everything that I'm gonna do and stuff like that. So I think the interest started with I will tell you what you're going to do. If you like it, and if you don't like it, we're not forcing you to do what you don't want to do, you know, in the first place. So I said, okay, there's no harm in trying. There's no harm in trying new challenges. There's no harm in trying new things and seeing new stuff and stuff like that, because you cannot put your foot in one place. So, and which is what I did. And I spoke with the guy, and, you know, I must tell you, you know, according to him, you know, that was my first time of me hearing there was an agent, you know, just like yourself, you know, that helps people to do the admission, do the whole thing. And it was pretty easy for me because I have somebody like you who was doing all the whole bidding for me, you know, and you know, in your jobs and, you know, what you guys do, you know, as an agent, you know, really helped us and educate us the more, you know. And, you know, he helped us, he gave us the guidelines, what to do and what not to do. And, you know, I don't know if I would really give you much information, because he did most of, like, you guys do 90% of the job.
Yeah.
So mine was just I had to put my trust in you
Yeah.
and give you the money and submit the necessary documentation for the process and stuff like that. And it was awesome for me. It was not hard. I just had to trust, you know. And you know, the situation is, I have to confess, when people, I think you guys go through this, if I'm not mistaken. When you people help people for this school of a thing, a lot of us are impatient.
Yeah.
A lot of us are impatient with the whole situation,
Expecting it to happen immediately.
very, very fast.
Yeah.
So I think that's where it's frustrating in you guys' profession and stuff. So I'm speaking from experience right now. You know, I was patient at first, but I became not anymore. You know, I was like, why haven't I get an admission?
Yeah.
Why haven't I do this? I've notified my documents, I've sent everything, I've made my payment. Why this? Why that? So I couldn't understand, because it's my first time. You understand? So I would say you have to forgive me for being naive, or being not, you know, for not being patient, because I will tell you one thing. If you want to start this process, you must be patient.
Yeah.
If you're not patient, then I don't know what I could say anymore. You must be.
You must
M-U-S-B. You must be patient. You
it
must
doesn't
be patient.
happen immediately.
And this is what I learned. And hopefully I was able to talk about it and, like, you know, move forward.